I stood in front of the mirror in the softly lit bridal studio, hardly recognizing the woman gazing back at me. The ivory lace bodice hugged my frame as if it had been crafted only for me, its delicate patterns shimmering under the soft glow. The long satin train spilled across the polished floor like a river of moonlight, and for a fleeting moment, I felt like the princess I once dreamed of being. Behind me, my mother's reflection appeared, her hands warm and steady as she adjusted the veil. "Claire," she whispered, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "You look exactly the way you always imagined when you were little." I smiled faintly, memories rushing back. 10-year-old me draping old curtains across my shoulders, pretending I was marrying a prince under fairy tale skies. Back then, it was just a game, but standing here now, I wanted to believe Jacob Whitfield was that prince. For 3 years, Jacob had been everything my parents admired: steady, attentive, respectful. He never missed a holiday dinner, always brought flowers, always greeted my father with a firm handshake and a confident smile. To them, he was perfect. To me, he was the man who promised to make me the happiest woman alive. As the seamstress pinned the final hem, my mother clasped my hands tightly. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "you'll be the most beautiful bride in Savannah." Her eyes shimmered with pride, seeing not just a dress, but decades of hope sewn into it. I pressed my palms against my chest, trying to steady the thundering rhythm of my heart. I told myself this was only joy, the overwhelming anticipation of a life about to begin. On the drive home, we went through the checklist one more time. Flowers delivered, cake ready, musicians confirmed, the restaurant booked for 40 guests. My mother ticked off each item with the precision of someone who had orchestrated every detail down to the last napkin. "And the honeymoon?" she asked, smiling playfully. I laughed softly. Jacob had insisted on keeping that part a surprise, something unforgettable, he'd promised, and I clung to that word, like a charm. Everything was set. The town was already buzzing with talk of the wedding, of how the Mitchells and Whitfields would finally be joined. And yet, as I watched the familiar streets pass by through the car window, an unsettling ripple of unease stirred deep inside me. Nothing had gone wrong, not one thing. And still, my hands trembled. Too perfect, my mind whispered. Too seamless to be real. I shook the thought away. All brides get nervous, I told myself. Tomorrow was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and I wanted desperately to believe it would be. Back at home, I carefully hung the gown in my closet, letting the soft silk brush against my fingertips one last time before I closed the door. Tomorrow, that dress would carry me to the altar. My mother was in my room, folding linens into the cedar chest she had set aside for me since childhood. "Claire," she said gently, "are you truly ready for married life?" I laughed a little too quickly. "Mom, Jacob and I have talked about everything. He wants children, and so do I. Will live in his apartment until we can afford a bigger place. It'll all work out." She nodded, pleased, and reminded me of what my father had prepared: the downtown condo signed in my name, the new car waiting in the driveway, the savings account to help us start fresh. It was the kind of dowry families whispered about in Savannah. And I knew she mentioned it with pride. But hearing it aloud made something twist deep inside me. "Mom," I said quietly, sitting on the edge of the bed, "I don't care about any of that. What matters is that Jacob and I love each other." The words slipped easily from my lips, but the moment they left, a shadow of doubt crept in. I remembered the small moments that hadn't made sense. The times he didn't answer my calls for hours, claiming he was busy. The way he slid his phone into his pocket whenever I walked into the room. The late nights with friends, always the same excuses. And then, the way he said "I love you." Or rather, the way he never said it first. Always in response, never as an offering. Instead, he'd grin and call me Sunshine, as if pet names could replace real words. I shook my head, scolding myself for inventing problems where none existed. After all, he had proposed, hadn't he? He had planned this wedding. He would stand with me tomorrow, in front of God and everyone we loved. Still, the nervous flutter refused to leave my chest. The phone rang, breaking my spiral. I grabbed it quickly. "Hello. Hey, Sunshine." Jacob's voice was warm, smooth, exactly what I needed to hear. "How's my bride to be? Did you like the dress?" I closed my eyes, letting the sound of him wash over me. "It's perfect," I whispered. "I can't wait for tomorrow." "And I can't wait to make you my wife," he said softly. "Forever. Claire, we'll have forever." I smiled into the dark, clutching the phone as if it could anchor me. For tonight, His words were enough to quiet the storm, at least for a little while. But I couldn't sit still after our call. His voice had sounded so tender, so reassuring, that I wanted nothing more than to see him, to share the bubbling joy inside me. Just half an hour, I told my mother. Slipping on a light coat. The savannah evening was soft and fragrant, laced with honeysuckle and the faint salt of the nearby marsh. My heels clicked against the pavement as I cut through the familiar park. Neighbors called out blessings for tomorrow, and I waved, smiling like the luckiest woman alive. His building came into view, fresh brick, newly painted. A sleepy cat curled lazily in the windowsill downstairs. I climbed the steps two at a time, heart pounding with anticipation. I lifted my hand to knock, and then, Jacob's voice floated through the thin wooden door. "Mom, stop worrying. Everything will be fine." I froze. His tone was calm, confident, the way he spoke when closing a deal with a client. His mother's voice followed, soft and quivering. "Jacob, are you sure about this? About Claire?" I waited for his protest, his declaration of love, his promise that I was his everything. Instead, he chuckled, low, careless. "I've told you 100 times. Claire is like a sister to me. I've gotten used to her over the years. She's a sweet girl." The words sliced through me. Sister, my chest tightened, but I stayed rooted to the spot, desperate for him to correct himself. "But do you love her?" His mother pressed Jacob, laughed outright, a sharp, cold sound that made my blood run cold. "Love, Mom, is for fairy tales. In real life, you use your head. You've seen what her parents are giving us. The condo, the car, the money, her father's connections at City Hall. Priceless. This marriage is security, not romance." The world tilted beneath me. The banister dug into my palm as I gripped it for balance. Every tender smile, every whispered promise, every time he brushed a strand of hair from my face, all of it cracked like fragile glass. Then his father's voice chimed in, steady and approving. "She'll make a good wife. Polite, respectable, from the right family. You're making the right choice, son." And then Jacob's next words shattered me completely. "Besides, Samantha Brooks is back in town. Remember her? We were happy once. With her, I can have passion. With Claire, I get stability. Best of both worlds." Samantha, the name roared in my ears. I remembered her vaguely dark hair, older than us, the kind of girl who turned heads in high school, and now she was back, sliding seamlessly into the place where my heart had once lived. Jacob's voice lowered. Intimate but still clear. "I'm meeting her tomorrow morning before the ceremony, just to settle things between us." That was enough. My body moved before my mind caught up. Heels clicking too loudly on the stairs, my vision blurred with tears, breath sharp and shallow. 3 years of believing. 3 years of dreaming. 3 years of dreaming. Years of building castles on sand. By the time I stumbled into the cool night air, the truth had settled deep inside me. Jacob never loved me at all.